All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of Gar Capital. Apologize for running a little late this morning. 9:04 Eastern Standard Time. It is June 12th, 2023. Thanks again for being on board with me. Moved a little bit of the my setup here on the left side. I moved the futures a little higher, so instead of me scrolling down, I wanted to actually expand my watch list now. Since we're getting a little more high betas, we've been talking about the high betas catching bids. I think Norwegian was price upgraded today. So again, eyes on those high betas. We've been talking about that, and we know the drill. The bottom is in. We've been saying it. So again, I updated my price targets for the year for Investment Club in regards to what do we expect in the future. What I expect is for us to get to 4,700 by the end of the year and 5,000 in next June. Now, is that a big call? Damn right it is. But it was a big call to call the bottom in October too, and we're going to keep doing that and making those calls and making sure that it goes through. So let's go ahead and see if we can get to the road of 4,700. S&P 500 is at 43.61 this morning. That's green. If you are looking at the chart right here, you can see like there's a gap up here. You're going to have to ignore that because the contracts are now into next week. Next month. I think it would be the September contracts. So for S&P 500, you need to get the letter U. U. This is the September contract. So if you go to ES, you can see that based on the closing that we had on Friday, that was based on the June contracts. TOS is now showing the September contracts, and you can see at 43.61. So it's not exactly a gap up, but we are higher than where we were. So it's up 13 points from again, the actual mark is different because of the contract rollover. So again, if it's a little wacky on your screen, that's really the reason. And again, you have different contracts. You can see the December one is at 4,400, and the one for March next year, 44.48. So again, you can always trade those. Not a lot of volume, obviously, but keep an eye. Really, we're going to keep an eye on the active contract, which is the one for September moving forward. All right, guys. So 43.62 is where we at. 14,813 for NASDAQ futures, up about 0.5%. The NASDAQ keeps going higher. Dow, again, up 53. We've been talking about this for a little bit now. It's pretty much a buy the dip market for the foreseeable future. That's what it looks like. The dollar index, 103.46. A lot of D's. Alliteration, 103.46. That's at about 0.09%. Volatility index spiking this morning. Does that really mean anything to us at this moment? I mean, we're still pretty down here. 1461. We do have a gap to fill at 1393. So again, I expect the VIX to pull back and fill that gap. Remember, tomorrow is CPI. So we want to go over that rather quickly. Let's go to Forex Factory. And you can see here we have CPI tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. We have a 10-year bond auction today, and core CPI at the same time as regular CPI. So on a month-over-month basis, 0.2% is the expectation. Year over year will be 4.1. You can see that drastic fall because June and July were the peak of last year. So we may get to a 3 handle, which is around 3. It's 3.9, right? So that's kind of what we're looking for if we want to squeeze higher. And if we do get that squeeze, then again, we're going to keep an eye on some ways that we can trade it. It depends on how much of the gap up the move is. And then if CPI comes in line and we get a little bit of a sell-off, that might give us an opportunity to play the dip as well. The one thing we don't want is where CPI is extremely elevated, where you start getting to a 0.5% or double the expectation. Then we're definitely going to get a pullback, and we'll definitely trade that as we go. We also have core PPI on Wednesday. But we'll go over more of the inflationary data tomorrow as we get it at 8:30 in the morning. But that's our expectation. I think we get to the 3.9 handle. I think month over month may get us to 0.1, if not flat. Again, we'll see where inflation reads moving forward. I know I want to go over crude oil for my futures traders that want to trade. We had a really great week last week in futures, so let's keep an eye on crude oil. Remember, we talked about that 200-week MA. That's your buy point. That's what we're looking for, 67.30, around that 67 level for a buy the dip play on crude oil. Gold. Gold, keep an eye on the 2000 level. We want to break that. I think with the Fed this week, if they pause, which can definitely happen, the dollar will sink and gold will go higher. So again, 2000 level, we're keeping an eye there. Let's see, silver is down. Again, I expect the metals to go higher as well. So that includes silver. Gasoline is down is at $2.52 a gallon. Dollar yen 139.26 flat. Pound dollar 125.46, 107.69 for the euro dollar. And crypto got slammed this week. This weekend 1746. Mostly of the Binance stuff down 4.9%. Bitcoin down 2%. But again, until we start really breaking above 30,000, it's not really worth looking at. Or Ethereum above 2. Morning, Carlos. I got Microsoft 327.50s for this week. I think it's worth trying to swing. So right now you're at 328. You're going to be in the money. I would say take the profit, leave a runner because you have CPI tomorrow. That's really the only reason. You could go higher, but again, now you have CPI tomorrow. You have PPI in the morning. Again, CPI you can't trade through unless you have futures because it's pre-market. PPI the next day, that's also pre-market. And then you have the Fed on Wednesday. So better not to tempt fate. If anything, you're trying to scale out. You're using all these pops as a way to sell into them ahead of these events because we really don't know what will happen. So again, use the strength in the stock market to pull away risk and kind of leave the book flat ahead of the reports because anything can happen. And again, we are due for some kind of pullback, right? Can't just go up forever. Maybe we test 4,300 on S&P again. That's completely natural and normal. The only thing is that we want to go ahead and get it right. Quit watching day. That's right. Again, we got landmines this week. Keep in mind, Monday, market's closed next Monday. So I know it's been in between 2 weeks of holiday weeks. Not the best liquidity as we know when that happens. So we're going to take it one trade at a time. I was thinking no to the second you mentioned CPI. There you go. And again, I'd rather you just play it safe. You take the money and you run. I did not do that with Boeing. It hit 220, my target, and I was 20%. And I said, I think we're going to break out, and it chopped me to death. That's risk. That happens. So sometimes you go for it, sometimes you don't. And that's the name of the drill, name of the game. 2 weeks prior to that, or the week prior, Tesla, we had the 220 calls. We took it for 20%. We were on top of a moving average. We played it safe. What happens the next week? It goes to 160%. And then it goes to 1,200% last Friday. That's risk. It's when you make money and you profit, it's you never put too much on, and when you lose, you put too much on. It's psychology for you, man. But I have AMD calls. So team, we have the 130 calls on AMD. Keep in mind, team. Again, don't wait for us to close. You're going to be above 40 anyways. This should be a bag today. We may get a little momentum. Again, the expectation was we're going to retest 132 anyway. So let's just say for any crazy reason we don't get 40%, we're still going to get it regardless. So a good way to start the morning if we do get a bag on AMD. Kind of get the momentum going. After last week was pretty rough, but we're going to do fine. I know we're going to bounce back in a major way. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of your morning. Market bloggers, I will see you on Discord and on Twitter. See you guys soon. Cheers.